Good evening, Tom Ginn. Elevate your profits. I'm going to be bringing in my co-host Mark Gassett here in a second, but what we're all about, Elevate Your Profits, is helping individuals, entrepreneurs, and businesses get a mindset that for success, and bringing in resources like our guest tonight. And I'll let Mark introduce her in a moment. But it's all about cutting edge thinking, ways to improve yourself, be more successful in business, elevate your profits. And so this is our second program. So we're really excited to have our next guest on. I'm going to bring up Mark, and he's going to introduce our guest. It's all yours, Mark.
Hey, thank you, Tom. Hey, glad to be here on this Monday evening, the 22nd. Here I am once again, Peachtree Corners. I'm going to say it, the peachiest place on the planet. Tom, tonight we have a guest. Man, let me tell you, this is really cool because I love moms. My mom back in the day, I'm going to date myself, but when my dad was in World War II, was a Rosie the Riveter. Now, I know some of you don't know what that is, but the reason I love moms is they are resilient and they are truly go-getters. They're what I consider that type A, over the top. They accelerate a business to the nth degree. Jamie Greene is in the solar industry, right? And we're going to get into that. And she's a consultant. She's very well received. I've seen some of her videos with customers, testimonials. They're awesome. Here's the thing, Tom. She's got 3 children under the age of 8, and she's out there knocking it out of the park. So we need to bring her on here and find out how she's doing it, why she got involved in this, what's going on. So I can't wait to hear her story.
Well, I'm excited to bring her on as well. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi.
Oh, we wave.
How are you guys tonight?
Doing great.
I'm excited
Jamie, we're gonna get rocking and rolling here, Mark. We're just gonna maybe take turns asking some questions, but what I'd like you to do, and Mark will take it off from here, is just share your story. Where you're from, your family, as much as you want to share in that area. A little bit of background about you, but Mark, go ahead and you two are on the roll. So go ahead, Jamie.
Well, sure. Well, I was adopted from Korea as an infant, so I grew up in Washington State, and my family, I'll call them my family. My parents adopted me and my sister and my brother, and they had a son of their own before I came, and so we grew up in Puyallup. I grew up in Puyallup, Washington. Wow. And it was interesting growing up as an adoptee from, obviously a different country, looking different. Our whole entire family looked different because my sister is half Korean, half Black, and then my brother's from India, and then my parents are white. Same with my brother. So we're just very multi-ethnic, and it was interesting growing up. But I had a pretty good childhood, and my parents ended up getting divorced when I was 12, and that was probably the rockiest time of my life as a teenager. But I learned to just take care of myself because of that. So I started working at the young age of 16 at a Pizza Hut. That was my very first job. I worked my way up from dishwasher all the way to waitress, and that was fun because I made a lot of tips as a waitress in high school. So had some great friends, a great church that I was a part of. They were really supportive as, a teenager, and, with my parents having been divorced and whatnot. After I graduated from, I guess, high school, I went to college for a little while and quickly learned that that was not where I was supposed to be.
Where'd you go to college?
I started out at Western Washington University. And then I stayed there for 2 quarters and then transferred down to Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington. So went from a state school to a private school. And I just was like, college is not my cup of tea for now. And I ended up getting a job at Boeing at 20 years old. Wow. So I worked at Boeing for 10 and a half years. had a great career there in flight training and then into maintenance training where I got to, that's why this map is here. It's
Okay.
You probably can't see it, but I have all the pins of where I traveled on behalf of Boeing.
Wow.
So I went and I met with all the airlines and set up all their training programs for their engineers and mechanics. And, I was there during 9/11 and everything too, in the flight training. So it was a very interesting career being in aviation and being at the Boeing company, but I loved it. I loved the travel. I loved meeting people from all over the world. I have an extensive Starbucks mug collection from all the cities that I traveled to, except for Mumbai. Mumbai and Moscow are the only two places that didn't have Starbucks when I traveled to visit them.
Right.
So yeah. So after that, I worked at Boeing for all that time, and then I met my husband.
Oh, wow.
And we met on eHarmony. I was still living in
So
Seattle.
that actually works, huh? Okay.
It actually works, yeah. So we dated long distance for a year, and then he proposed to me, and I moved down to San Francisco because that's where he was from. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That is awesome. So, Jamie, I got to ask you, how and why did you get into solar? What attracted you to this industry?
Well, I would say it found me. I wasn't looking for it. I had just had my third child, and I was starting to look into doing something from home because I was like, once you've worked somewhere and you feel some of your value is placed in what you do. After I left Boeing, I kind of had an identity crisis. Like, I left Boeing, I went to San Francisco, didn't know a soul. I knew a couple of people, but really didn't know anybody. I decided to start a photography business. So I learned how to I guess get customers and clients and do that kind of thing. But I still didn't know how to sell. Like, I didn't know how to sell myself. I didn't know how to properly price my services. So that kind of started the entrepreneurial bug in me. I did some photography for about 4 years, did weddings and portraits and all that good stuff, and started a family. And that's when I kind of was like, well, what can I do from home where I don't have to have a boss? I don't have to go to work. And I don't know why I started doing this, but I learned how to trade the stock market. So I did that for a little while. I traded the options and futures and Forex markets. And I won some and I lost some. But it wasn't something that I could really fully focus on with children. So I thought, what else can I do? So I started looking into digital marketing, and that's how I met Joe Soto. I had gone through some of Ty Lopez's programs, and that's where I discovered Joe Soto. And so I reached out to Joe Soto on a Thanksgiving day. I think it was a little over 2 years ago now. And I asked him if he had any programs about digital marketing that he actually sold. And he said, oh, yeah, I do. And I go, well, which one should I buy, yours or Ty Lopez's? He goes, well, I did all the training for Ty Lopez. So, So I went with Joe, and I met, and then later that couple months later, I flew out to Dulles or to Virginia, I guess to Washington, D.C. area, and met him because he was having like a mastermind weekend with a bunch of the digital marketers.
Right.
So that happened. And then 2 months later, a friend of mine reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, what's up, Jamie? I hadn't talked to him like in 7, 8 years. And I said, just got my kids and getting into digital marketing. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And I go, well, what are you up to? He goes, oh, I'm helping my friend with his solar company. And he was telling me about it. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Do you guys need some help with, lead generation and whatnot? He goes, oh, no, we got that covered. And really what it led to was, do I want solar on my house? Like, he was kind of doing lead generation on me, like, hey, do you want solar? And I said, well, we've looked at it, but I don't know how it works. I don't understand it. And he's like, okay, well, we'll just send someone out. We'll send our best guy out to you, and we'll have him, tell you how solar works and how it can save you money. So he comes to my house. He was late. He we never had someone in our house, like as a salesperson, like a home improvement salesperson come to our house. So he comes in, sits at our kitchen table. He was like a half an hour late and he brought his girlfriend. They looked like we were on a date in our living room or at a kitchen table. And he just didn't look like he wanted to be there. He wanted to be somewhere else. So I was like, well, that's really great information. We're not interested right now. And then I texted my friend after he left and I said, I want to do what he does, because if that's what he did and it kind of convinced me to get solar, then I want to learn how to do that. So that's literally how it happened.
Oh, wow.
So he said, okay, well, if you want to sell solar, you need to learn it, and you better, like, go get some leads or go get some people interested, and you can just self-generate, and then you can learn how to sell solar. I don't think they thought I was really going to do that. I think that was their way of saying, no,
give it a shot. We'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah. But I surprisingly did. And they're like, oh, my friend goes, oh, Jamie Greene, the solar queen. Like, you're doing a great job. Like this and that. So,
is that how you got the handle?
That's how I got the name.
Okay.
Because they saw that I was actually doing something, Yeah, no, I was not impressed by the salesperson that
Jamie, and then I'll let Tom jump in. How do you prospect? How do you get customers? Do you have a CRM? Is it on your bailiwick, your contacts, connections, or how do you go about do this? Could you share that with us?
Sure. Well, I would say that where I live, I'm like the ideal customer, right? I have a family. I have a home. We're spending a lot of money on electricity, and I'm just the perfect demographic for it. So I just went out and started talking to people, my friends, and not so much family. They all know what I do. If they want solar, they know who to contact. If they want to go through me, they're all very supportive. But yeah, just using social media has been the number one thing, and having conversations. And eventually I started starting to make little content videos, or just putting things out there, like making a post or this and that. And that's how it continues to happen, like just through social media and people, local Facebook groups. People will say, oh yeah, I work with Jamie, you should contact her. And so I always just lead with value and education, and then I'll present them with a proposal, and the numbers, if people are doing it for financial purposes, the numbers pencil out, and so
right.
Usually it's to their advantage. But really, I just do that. I just try and help them and come as a consultant, and they make the decision themselves.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Wow.
It isn't until recently that I actually I tested a Facebook ad with a little video in the last couple of weeks, and it's generated a few leads, and one actually closed this last weekend.
That's outstanding. Yeah.
So that's not too shabby just for testing and seeing. But up until then, I hadn't done any paid advertising. It's all been word of mouth and social media content.
Cool.
Yeah. Jamie, I've seen you on live and your presentations and education and those type of things. And, we think we know what we think we know, but we don't know anything. So there's a lot there, but, you're very informative, very professional. Yeah. And I would definitely contact you if I was in your area to come and talk deeper on the subject of solar. But we have a lot in common. I'm from California, grew up in the same area that you, relatively where you're at now, and you're a photographer. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I am not at, JR's level of photography, but I can speak the language, and I can make beautiful images, and I love taking pictures. And it started out, people are like, you should be a photographer, because I would take pictures of all my travels around the world, and I would share them, and I would, right. And people are like, these are beautiful. I guess I had this eye for landscape photography. And so when I started putting people in front of that landscape, people liked them. So yeah, that's kind of how I did that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate. I had a photography business for years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We'll have another conversation about you, but I just want to let you know there's so much in common here. But being a woman, a lot of times people have preconceived idea whether about we'll get into that in a little bit about solar facts and this and that type of thing. But moving into what a lot of people are consider is a man's career, home improvements. And here comes Jamie. Have you ever surprised anybody knocking on your appointment, knock up and have never seen you, or have they've always seen you before you get there?
Well, so something that's interesting about me and the way I sell solar is it's all virtual. So I rarely go into somebody's house, like rarely. So like, depending on where you live, Tom, if I can sell solar in your state, we could do it virtually. I do it all the time.
Right.
And Zoom is really helpful because the homeowners can take control of my screen and they can fill out, credit application. And everything is sent to the homeowner to DocuSign. So it's all done very privately and securely, as well as legally. Like, you don't want to be filling out people's loan documents and signing, people used to do that. They used to sign things for people. It's totally legal.
Wow.
But yeah, so everything I do is virtually, and usually people have seen or heard of me. Like I did go to a homeowner's house the other day. She had talked to me earlier last year. I guess last year she talked to me. She had 2 houses and now she has 3 and she wants to put solar on all 3 of them. And at the time when I met with her last year, she wasn't sure if she was going to hold on to them or sell them. But she's decided to expand her real estate portfolio. And so she's like, can you come over and can we look at everything? Can you check everything out and see if my houses are viable for solar? And I said, sure. So I drove over there this weekend. She lives in the same town. And she's like, oh, it's so nice to finally meet you in person, Jamie Greene, the Solar Queen. Because we had Zoomed before, but she's been watching my videos and she's been educating herself on solar so she can actually understand and have a conversation with me about certain different, where we're at in the process in terms of the solar installation process. So it was really, I love that because I'm like, oh, good. My videos are giving people value and they're actually learning something. So yeah.
I learned something new. I thought you just did regionally or locally with my preconceived idea that, wow, I think this is a great message for anybody watching this that's in sales and business. How can you take your message to a broader market? And that's perfect. I didn't even think about selling in another state virtually and how do you do that? So you are a trailblazer.
Well, we have a common friend and his name is Jeffrey Gittimer.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And he's been encouraging all of us. I mean, for me in particular, to take everything online or virtual as much as possible. And so I have a lot of thanks to give to him for the confidence to just do it. And really I didn't really have an option. Like I had to do it. Do I have t-shirts yet? No. Would people want to buy
Solar Queen t-shirt? This could be a marketing opportunity. Jamie, I'll help you sell them.
Jamie, I'm in.
I'll help you sell them. We can talk about
Yeah. I should get hats that have like crowns on them and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have t-shirts yet. I just literally launched a website or a funnel site not too long ago. I mean, I really have done this very organically. And last year I helped 18 homeowners go solar, and that might seem like really small numbers, but that was in 6 months' time. I took a little bit of time off from selling because I was working on something for solar. And then this year already, I've had the pleasure of helping 5 homeowners go solar in, just in the last 6 months or 6 weeks. So it's been solar is not stopping. People are becoming more and more aware of it, and especially what's going on in the country and places like Texas and, California with the wildfires and the droughts and the power outages and just the cost of utilities continue to go up, that it's this perfect storm where it's just perfect place to be right now. So yeah.
So you brought up Texas. I'm going to ask that question. So how do you combat, or Tom lives in Wisconsin, a lot of snow. How
Yeah.
does that work when these panels get covered with ice, snow? How does all that work? And you got the weight of the panels on the roof. Now you got that added with the ice or the snow. I'm just asking,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? How, because I'm sure people ask these questions. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, they do. So interestingly enough, I can sell and we do install in Wisconsin and Georgia too, Mark. We
Oh
just
my
in
God.
Georgia. Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely be talking, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the thing is, because we started installing in Colorado, Texas. I mean, hail these panels. I don't want to say they're indestructible because they're not indestructible, but
Right.
they are pretty dang durable. And in fact, I was kind of relating it to like a Boeing. Well, actually, the 777 just had that engine failure, and the engine caught on fire, and they had to do the emergency landing in Denver over the weekend.
Right.
Those engines go through rigorous like stress tests.
Mm-hmm.
They like take dead chickens, and they throw them at the engines for bird strikes.
Sure.
And they want to know what's the engine going to do. The same happens with solar panels when it comes to hail, or it comes to rain or snow, and it comes to extreme temperatures. They go through stress tests. If they couldn't withstand it, they would not be installing solar panels, where there's snow or hail or hurricanes even. But they're pretty durable. And what ends up happening, you might lose production for a bit on those snowy days until the snow slides off for the solar panels. But it's going to slide off. It's going to be fine. Of course, I always tell my homeowners, add it to your homeowner's insurance policy in the event that the panel it goes into like minus 30 degrees, or just a deep freeze and something happens to the panels. But they're pretty durable.
Okay.
Wow.
Outstanding. I have to ask now, are you a manufacturer's rep, or, and you don't have to tell me the company, or is this your own deal, or how do you get the product? I guess that's where I was just curious on how that works.
Yeah. No, so I do sales and marketing, and then so I'm a part of a solar dealership, and then so think of it like this. Ford Motor Company manufactures the cars. But Ford Motor Company itself doesn't go out and sell the cars. They don't have an internet department that I am aware of. They should, kind of like Tesla. They should. But you have to go to a Ford dealership to buy the Ford you want, right?
Sure.
So there's dealerships all over. So that's kind of how solar is like. And then we use an installer that installs in several states. And we also, so that company's Freedom Forever. So that's my installer that I use. And then we also have an exclusive partnership with Sunrun. So if people who don't want to buy a system, or they want to lease it, or they, because maybe they don't have the taxes to be able to get the tax credit, but they still want solar and they don't want to take out a loan, they would rather just lease it.
Sure.
They can go, I can sell Sunrun leases.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Yeah.
So I can do that. And then, so that's for residential. But when it comes to commercial, I can sell in all states because I have a commercial installer that installs in all the states and in parts of the world. I'm working on a project in Africa potentially where this would be like a community farm of solar that would then power the entire developed community that somebody I'm working with and knows they're working on putting this project together in Africa. Awesome. So certain projects like that, we would go in, we would probably be able to go into those countries and install commercial grade solar for them. But for commercial, it's for every state I can go in, and usually I broker the deals for them. I build the relationships, maintain the relationships, gather all the information, and then give it to what's called an EPC. And they go in and they put everything together, the designs, and then I present it, and we take care of it from there. So I have access to panels and batteries and inverters and financial products.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was envisioning, Jamie, I was envisioning you getting on a ladder, climbing up on a roof, doing measurements and my mind just totally, here, how do you do this virtually? I mean, there's got to be an inspection and all that, right? I mean, I'm thinking old school. Like I sold roofs. I had to get on a roof.
You got on the roof. You did the measurements, right?
Yes. Until technology came in. But
too. What shingles do you want? What ratings of the shingles do you want?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazing. That is so cool, Jamie. I think this is a great program for people out there, because a lot of misconceptions that you get, you're going to be
Tom, if I can just add, and I'm not stealing from Jamie's thunder, but I do call on larger companies that are solar, for like sales training for their salespeople. They're a lot of fun people to talk to, because they're always telling, well, hey man, you ever need any solar, give us a call, but they're pretty receptive people. I enjoy talking to them, but there's a lot of outfits out there. How do you I know how you distinguish yourself, but how do you know what's a reputable company versus what isn't? I mean, there's so many of them out there now. So how do you narrow down the process as a consumer? I mean,
as a salesperson, I am out there looking for the best scenario for the homeowner. And if I run into a situation where it's not a good experience, I have to evaluate, is this the company I want to represent? Is this the company do I want my customers and homeowners to have this experience? Right. Who's been in business long? What kind of ratings do they have in online reviews? Et cetera, et cetera. So as not only a homeowner that has solar on my rooftop, I'm constantly thinking, what's the best for the homeowner? And my opinion is, you got to make sure they're reputable and they do quality work. And so I think online reviews is an important thing to look at. You got to look at the good reviews. You got to look at the bad reviews, and you have to look at why are they writing bad reviews about a company? Right. And like one, for instance, we all know of, which is Tesla. Tesla is a really sexy brand. Like, they make amazing cars. Right. Are they excellent at solar? I can't say that they are. Every single homeowner, well, not every single, I would say the vast majority doesn't have a great experience when it comes to customer service. When it comes to Tesla, and it shows and it reflects on the review. So you have to wonder, are you buying it because of the brand, or are you doing it because they are the best and you want the best? So Tesla's a good example. Like, it's always comes up. They have the Powerwall is a good product. They don't manufacture their panels, so they're using, third-party panels, which is fine. But I think that's just the thing. You got to go based off of people's experiences and what they have to say. And, there are so many solar installation companies, and some of them just don't make it, so you have to wonder, are you going to be getting installed with a company that's going to be orphaned, meaning something goes wrong with your system and you're like left to fend for yourself? Is that what you want to experience? So that's why, like with me, aligning myself with a reputable, growing company that's becoming more and more, like they're adding more states to their installation network, and their partnership with Sunrun. So, with Freedom Forever, I kind of like that. And they're the ones who installed our solar system. So I've had a great experience. I know a lot of people have. And every time they go into a new market, there's going to be some growing pains and everything, but they work it out. So that's kind of been the thing. You just want to make sure if they are a mom and pop installation company, ask how long they've been in business, ask for, referrals or reviews and everything. Because you do want to, people do want to support local, but
Right.
you got to ask, like, how many jobs are they installing and whatnot? Are they getting, like, what's their long-term plan? The long-term plan is they want to still be in business, but sometimes that might not happen.
So my next question, and I'll let Tom hop in here. Now we're COVID, kind of getting out of COVID, and a lot of people work in their homes now, right?
Yeah.
We're all virtual. So how's that work on a commercial level? Because I know people in commercial real estate. So how are you able to parlay your solar skills, so to speak, in the commercial arena? I mean, is it more difficult than a homeowner arena right now, or what do you say?
Not so much. People are still, there's so many different categories within commercial. So like when we think office space, obviously a lot of these buildings are vacant right now or at very minimal capacity. But the kind of companies that I really want to service and help are those that have constant refrigeration and air conditioning, refrigeration or freezers or just temperature control type buildings. The other thing is like agricultural, like vineyards and ranches, and where they actually have to like pump water and it takes electricity for irrigation. So these types of businesses, they have ongoing recurring expensive usage, and they don't know that they can go solar yet. Or maybe they do, or they just, maybe like Tom, they just don't understand exactly the process or how much it's going to cost or what to expect for the commercial level. But really, it's very similar to the residential. It's just maybe a longer relationship to establish and getting through all the who's the right person to be talking with. Sure. But no, it hasn't stopped. In fact, it's it's I don't want to say it's busier, but it's just, they're out there. I just have to make those relationships with them. But I have people that are interested in like buying property and putting up community solar farms. Wow. And putting, I have one person that has a $50,000 monthly energy bill in Florida. He has a manufacturing warehouse. He definitely wants solar on his rooftop because he doesn't like spending what is that? $300,000? Is that right?
A month. Yeah, a month. Is that what you're saying? 50 a month is what he's saying?
$50,000 times 12. That's $600,000 a year.
Yeah.
That they're spending on electricity a year.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So we're talking right now and everything, but there's still businesses out there that are lively, and COVID hasn't stopped them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, dairy needs out here. So in Wisconsin, we're big on the dairy farm. So I'm just learning so much. I'm blown away that you're selling solar virtually. I had no idea, my friend. I'm still stuck right here in amazement. But
Meg, are you taking applications?
Yeah, you can definitely talk about that. Definitely. We just launched in Georgia.
Did you really? Is that good? Wow.
Last month I actually talked with a homeowner in Georgia. He lives in Macon.
Right.
I don't know if we're going to be able to install in Macon because there's one little area that we like in Macon specifically because of the way the utilities are set up. You might not be able to install there, but I'm going to, fingers crossed. My daughter is knocking at the door.
That's okay. That's quite all right.
If she wants to sit on your lap, we're good with that too, because this is virtually what virtual business is about, right?
This is what it's about.
Yeah.
We're cool with it.
Okay, push it open. You can push it open. Yes, you can.
Erica, here you go. This is Mom, and she's running a business, and this is beautiful. I love it.
I'm going to open the door for her really fast.
Sure, go right ahead.
I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
any women that are out there, this is what I would encourage you to do. And if solar intrigues you, you know, I know we haven't got into Jamie's why yet, but you know, there's a big need out there for solar. So anybody
Yeah.
that's out there that wants to build a business from home, reach out to Jamie. I know she's tending with the little one there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Jamie, I'm helping you build your business.
We
I'm
were telling
Definitely.
women to give you a call, Jamie.
Yes.
If they're stay-at-home moms or whatever, that this might be something they may want to look at. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm working on putting together a solar sales training course and how I do it, because people, when they meet me, especially other solar companies, they meet me and they're like, "How are you doing what you do?" And I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you mean? How am I doing what you're doing? Well, how are you getting all these leads? Like, how are you generating your own business? And people think they often tell me, you don't realize what you're doing. It's like, see, I think for so many people, salespeople in the solar industry, they are dependent upon lead generators for them.
Okay.
You
I
know,
was going to ask you that. Okay.
yeah. So a lot of sales people get, they'll have company leads, or they'll pay someone to generate leads for them.
Right.
And you just never know what kind of lead that is going to be. And, but no, I do so much of it based off of relationship and, again, like creating the content that I do for people to get to know me and hopefully trust me and like me and then want to do business with me. So
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to create a course on how to do that. How do I do what I do and help other people
That's
do it?
another business in itself, isn't it?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
you'll
and
become a
that's one of the
trainer.
things Mark and I really want to bring in our program with product. What are people doing? You know, too many people are one-legged in income streams. What happens in a circumstance outside your control?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? How are you going to support
Yep.
your family? So seeing what you're doing, you're an inspiration, not only to me, but I know you're going to be an inspiration to other people. So you're thinking about creating a business, how to get into this business course, right?
Yeah. Well, how to organically, how to get organic traffic to you as a business person. And it really can apply to not just my industry. It can apply to
Sure.
so many, because marketing is such a big part of business and such a huge cost to a business. But like I said, I just haven't ever needed. If I want to work more, I can throw some ad spend in there. But I mean, I've been okay without it. If anything, I'm very happy with the amount of business that's coming my way right now.
Sure.
So, but no, to scale and bring on salespeople, that's another thing. You almost do need to teach them how to. You can teach a what is it? You can teach a man to. You can feed a fish. You can
Teach a
feed a
man
man
to
to
fish.
fish, or you
Right.
can teach a man, someone to fish and feed and eat for life. And so I kind of come from. Is that the right saying, guys? Is that
Yeah,
the right way?
Yeah.
Did I recite the scripture correctly?
You're good. Jamie, I got to ask this. So when people in your own company say, how are you doing what you're doing? Look, I've watched what you're doing. I've been to your website. I've seen some of your video testimonials. Truthfully, are people in your company doing that other than you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Right. I don't think they are. Because I mean, I researched this and I love what you did when the website with the gentleman. I think you had a mask on, but you were behind there and you were talking to say, so how did this go about? And what made you do it? Well, we initially talked and and this was an older guy, and I was like laughing and not at you, but just at the whole persona. And you got to look at it on the website. It's a YouTube clip and it's great. And I mean, the guy spells out everything, the steps, the process. You always followed up with them. You always gave them additional information. If you didn't know the answer, very important, you didn't tell them a story. You got back to them with the appropriate information, and you built that trust. And once you do that, man, it's knocking it out of the park, and that's why you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean that was I asked him if he was willing. I asked a couple of people if they were willing, and some more people are. I was like, I got to get it up and going and start it.
Sure.
And but it was totally unrehearsed, unscripted, very.
It was great. It was great.
And so that's what I strive to give all my customers, is that type of attention and detail to their project, because it's their home. It's their number one, probably for so many people, their number one investment is in their home. And it's really important that they understand that I understand that. And I want the best,
Right.
service and care for their home, especially as it's a construction job at the end of the day. It's a construction job,
Right.
and Tom, you're smiling because you're like, yep, it is a construction job. I might make it sound really easy and simple on the front end, but when they get into the process, it's a 3 month, easily a 3 month project, start to finish. If everything goes well, if there's not a main panel upgrade, if they're not getting, all these a new roof, if they need a new roof or, whatnot. And then we have the local jurisdictions, and we have the utility companies to all work with. So I lean on my experience at Boeing to use that for what I do with solar. So
it's not a matter of just selling the panels. There's other idiosyncrasies you're going to have to go to, whether it's local government, state government, federal government, and then how they're going to finance it. And you hit the nail on the head. I was going to ask you, what if they need a new roof? Because there's no way you're going to put panels on a roof that needs new roofing. I mean,
the really amazing thing is I can include roofing in with a solar loan.
I was going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah. And it can,
Wonderful.
and if you do it that route, you're pretty much in the lending that I have available for that, it's 50% of the cost can go towards a roof, and 50% of the cost of the loan can go towards solar.
Mm-hmm.
It's unheard of. It's such a wonderful thing.
That's
and
great.
So that changes the game, especially for people that have smaller solar systems. They are not huge consumers of energy, and maybe the cost of solar is the same as the cost of a new roof. And before, I couldn't offer. I could say I can cover part of your roof, but I can't cover it all. Mm-hmm. But if they include the roofing in with the solar lending, it makes it very easy for them to be able to get the tax credit and wrap the roof in with it.
Wow.
So not only are they getting a new roof at a decent price, because it's just kind of business, you need a new roof, but the federal government allows for re-roofs to go solar, and a main panel upgrade to go solar, and even the batteries to go, to get it put in with your solar. That all qualifies.
It's okay.
26% of the total cost of the project. Oh, am I here?
Yeah, you're
still
here.
We
just little glitch, little Facebook glitch.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
good.
Operating
at 300 megahertz, and the system's only operating
at 10. So we're
good. You've got so much energy. You're overwhelming your provider. So I do have a question for you, Jamie.
Yep.
The energy supply is a very complicated thing for us. But what was the reason? Two things I'm going to ask here. What was the reason that you got into solar? Do you have a why around that?
Well, yeah, I did. I thought this would be a wonderful way for me as an individual to make a huge impact in several ways. One, financially, for so many families. Two, for our world, for our planet, for our, what's going on right now with whether you believe in climate change or not, or whether you believe in global warming or not. I think every person on the face of the planet can say there's some really strange weather things happening around the world. Sure. Unusual things happening. And if there is a way that I can help in that by helping more homeowners, more businesses go solar and rely less on things that are going to cause, more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and less harm to our planet by extracting, natural gas and coal and then burning it for energy. Right. And then Fukushima that was a nuclear power plant that just
melted down.
And who knows what the long-term effect is going to be of that.
Right.
So I just thought, gosh, this just seems like a win-win for my family financially, as doing this as a career, a win-win for the homeowner that's going to save money on their energy and have more energy independence from the utility companies. And we're all going to be able to contribute to making our planet a better place, happier, friendlier place to live in. So I thought, yeah, I'll be Jamie Greene, the Solar Queen.
All right. And I think it's important for people to know why you do it. A lot of people do careers just strictly because I could put something in my bank account. And so you explained your why. I'm a big Simon Sinek person, and people don't care what you do and how you do it. They really care about why you do what you do. And thank you, Jamie, for sharing that. Being a woman, like the myth that we're going to how people respond, and that you really got me all cleared up on that, how you're doing business. Who are some of your influencers in having the right mindset? I'm a mindset person. That I think success comes not from a process. It starts with a vision and a clarity and your why. Who are the people that inspire you, that you draw from, that you incorporate in your life and in your business? Because I'm a big proponent of people getting mentoring, coaching, those type of things. So who would be some of those people?
Well, immediately, I would say Jeffrey Gitomer, Joe Soto, their wives. I'm in their mastermind, and they're huge people I respect and look to for wisdom and counsel. They're direct mentors of mine. People like Ken Walls, he's helped me expand my reach with video content. Yeah, that's how we all met, was through Ken Walls. And people that I have met, Grant Cardone. At first it took me a while to get used to his robust, energetic personality, but I have learned a lot from him when it comes to sales and everything. And just promoting yourself and putting yourself out there. People like Gary Vee and Tony Robbins, and I'm just starting to follow some of the women leaders, and really respect what they have to say about growth and putting yourself out there. So, but mostly it's been the men, like the big leaders out there that we probably are all familiar with.
Right.
But I have to say, the one person that really got me, the one book that I would say was really pivotal for me, going from like the employee mindset to then being a business owner, entrepreneur, was Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad book. Absolutely. Very simple book, but very powerful and impactful to my own life. So that was a really impactful book for me. And I always like Napoleon Hill too.
Yeah, I'm a big Napoleon Hill guy. My mentor, Bob Proctor, that's the premise of what he teaches. And my wife and I are both consultants, and we've seen the power of that. And then Robert Kiyosaki, 4 quadrants, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I encourage people, that goes back to some of the things, this is what I love about this is when we see people, success leaves clues. And most people don't even try to investigate, why is Jamie doing something different than everybody else in her industry? Well, there's a pattern of success. It leaves clues. You didn't invent any of the processes. You just find those people that are what? Cutting edge thinkers, have the right mindsets, and guess what you've done?
I've learned from them and implemented. That's the only, I figure if they're successful, I'm going to do what they do. I might not do everything they do, but I'm going to try and follow their lead and be a good student, Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a message that you just gave to everybody is, if your way isn't working, you got to find a new way. Plain and simple. That's the definition of insanity, expecting to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And
Absolutely.
find those that are winning in any place in life, and there you'll find there's a pattern that and a formula that they all follow.
Yeah.
And once we see that, then guess what? You're doing it. You're an unconscious competent too. You have that. You have something inside of you that has caused you to move to where you're at initially. Okay.
So the reason why I reacted like that was because Brett Williams, I don't know if you know Brett Williams, but he's great. Brett Williams and Justin Benton, they always say to me, Jamie, you don't realize you have this unconscious competence about you. And I also think I'm not implementing things fast enough. And they're like, no, don't worry. You're doing fine in that area. But it's funny to hear you say that. I don't think, Tom, that you even knew that was a phrase that I've become familiar with in the last few months from peers that have said that or pointed that out. I'm like, what does that even mean? I don't.
Yeah. So you're an inspiration, full of energy, authentic, purposeful. You got wise, all that. So
yeah. I was gonna say the funny thing is I couldn't stand sales. Like I just never wanted to be a salesperson. But then look, here I am. I tried to get into real estate. Like I got a real estate license when I moved to San Francisco when I first moved down, but I didn't know the market. I didn't feel comfortable selling in a market I was unfamiliar with. But real estate agents, really, if you think about it, they are salespeople at the end of the day.
Right. You know what, Jamie? We're all salespeople because you're selling an idea even to your children.
Yes.
So people have a misconception what sales is.
And, right.
And you mentioned something, one of the reasons that people are hurting financially, and this is a way to cut that high cost down. Got to make a front-end investment to get a long-term payoff ROI. I'm a financial coach. But I teach people's success has nothing to do, it's behavior before numbers. And, that passion to help somebody solve not only problems, money is, energy bill is going to kill people's financial future.
Yes. Well, and just so you guys know, this might be something you didn't know, but if someone finances their solar system, which vast majority of people are doing, they don't have to, there is $0 required to go solar. So there's no cost. If you finance it, it's literally, if you qualify for the funding and stuff, it's $0 out of your pocket to switch to solar.
Wow.
It's been a game changer. Before it used to be you had to do loads of cash down and, very expensive.
That's a great point. I did not know. Now that I did not know.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And you're paying for the equipment. And then once the equipment's paid for, then your energy's free. So I wanted to share that.
All right. We got they're fine. They're fine. So Jamie, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Nothing ever goes lickety split. Remember the first time, you're fine. Remember the first time you sold something? One, and two, did you have anything kind of go off the charts at the job site that you had to contend with? Could you share something like that with us? You don't have to get real elaborate, but I think it's important people know that, like Tom was saying about being successful, this is all part of the process. I mean,
yeah. Well, I would say my first experience having my first customer was exciting. I was like I had practiced my presentation. And I just found it's so much better to be conversational and involve them in the presentation. Involve them with, okay, how much are you spending every month? Like on average, like they literally go, oh, I'm paying $200 a month. Okay. Take $200 and multiply that by 12, and they look at it and go, do you know that you're spending this much money? And I'll ask them, does that seem like a lot or a little to you? And they'll say, that's a lot. And I go, that it does. Like, but wait, there's more. The rates are going to increase, so it's not going to stay like this. And then they go, and I say, multiply that out by 20 or 25 years. What is that number then? I kid you not. Some of these bills, if they don't go solar, there's $300,000 out the window over the next 20 years on electricity with a very modest rate increase. So it's, the first sale was really exciting and I didn't want to screw it up. I wanted to make sure everything was done correctly throughout the whole entire process. And man, I'm so grateful for that homeowner giving me the chance and the opportunity to help them. And then they turned around and gave me a handful of referrals just from that experience.
That's incredible.
And then, I do have customers that not necessarily that I had done, but just the installers, they had a bad experience with an installation. And
I understand that. That's going to happen. I get it.
You know what? I still am involved and I'm
Sure.
still having the conversations with the homeowners. I'm hearing what they're saying and I'm communicating that and I'm trying to get their project across the finish line and provide that service along the way, because again, it's a construction job.
No, Tom's right. And you hit the nail on the head because you can't just sell it virtually and then walk away from it.
Right.
You got to go through put in the work, along with the, earning this. That's all part of earning that sale, the service part of it.
Yep. Yeah. So there have been a couple of those more difficult jobs, but we get through. I get through it with the customer and the whole process. Makes me stronger and it makes me grow as a individual and as a salesperson too. So
cool.
Yeah. Jamie, you are the solar queen. You are a delight.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
You are a delight, and you energized us. You energized me, and I know you energized the audience and whoever sees this. So we just encourage people to, share this out. We didn't dive deep into all the technical. No one really cares about the technical stuff, really, right? What's the benefit? How can you help improve their lives? Why are you doing it? It's for the right reasons.
And I think you communicate that. It's like taking your car to a mechanic. All you want them to do is fix the car. Or all you want them to do is, I don't care how you're going to add on that additional unit to my house, just get it done. Like, do it. That's what I'm paying you to do.
Right.
So that's the same with solar. They want the solar, they want the energy, they want the savings, and just make it happen. Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's all you, my friend. And I'm so excited to have you live here on Elevate Your Profits. And when we talk about elevating profits, not just what goes in the bank account. It's the difference you make in other people's lives. And how, hopefully as you grow through here, you can help other people grow themselves, give them hope and purpose in life like you've done. And you're a great inspiration. So I'm going to do a plug here for women again. We got a company here in our area that sells windows. And the radio commercial says, do you know a guy that does windows? And the lady says, no, but I know a girl.
Oh.
So when somebody asks me, do you know a guy that does solar? I'll say, no, I know a girl.
Yes, I love that. That's so great.
Anything else, Jamie, you want a parting note? Mark, any questions you have or any parting notes?
No,
Jamie?
I think she covered everything. It's always fun talking to you, Jamie. I do have to say, I always love when we're on those Thursday nights, and I know you're going to come in late, and I'm not making fun of you, but you're coming from some project, whatever. And that's why I ask you, when I won't say how long ago, your age, and I had kids, you're like 8 and under, that you remind me of me because I felt so doggone discombobulated. And I was like, when is this going to end? When will there be some sanity? And not that you don't love your kids, but you do a great job at juggling. I'm sure Matt helps out a lot too.
He does. And my son today actually came in and I think it was it was very satisfying as a mother for him to, for the first time, he's going to be 8.5. And he realized, he goes, Mom, you do a lot for us. It was like, it's going to bring me to tears. It was the first time I think it dawned on him, Mom, you do so much for us. You work, you cook us our meals, you teach us, you do you do our laundry, you do all the things, you take care of the house, you make sure we have fun and go on vacation. I mean, my husband too. My husband does this too. We're very equal in our roles, in terms of like household things. But I think it was the first time he actually recognized, as an 8.5-year-old, wow, Mom does a lot. And he expressed his gratitude for that. And that was a special moment for us to have, because my 2 little ones are still not quite there yet. And that's okay.
No, they're little.
Jamie, just what you said there is so important to understand. You are a direct reflection of what gratitude is. Your son saw that. And that's one of my programs I do on Fridays, G-Force Gratitude, and how powerful it is. And what a great influence that your son recognized that. He is now that, oh, I'm so grateful for what Mom did. Can't take it for granted, right? He's changed forever.
Yeah, we were just sitting down because I'm homeschooling them through all this COVID stuff. So we were sitting down and doing his math, and he was getting frustrated. I go, this is why I sit with you. I help you so you can understand it, and so that you got to be able to get through it and figure it out. You might not get it at first, but we'll work through each problem. We just need to focus on one at a time. Don't look at the big picture and get overwhelmed. Just focus on the one problem, and then let's break it down, So I definitely try and do that, and just be there for the kids. And we're getting ready to go on a nice trip here in April. It'll be nice to just get away and unplug and relax. Right. Yeah. As a family.
Well, Jamie, I know you got your family there. We heard them. They probably want to be fed and taken care of.
They're probably tugging at you saying, Mom, come on.
No, she's sitting here watching her YouTube on her iPad right now. Yeah, see? She's like, yeah, it's this right here. I've trained them. Hey, when I'm on a video call or a conference, can you please wait? And they're pretty good about it. So, yeah.
Well, I know when somebody asks me, do you know a guy that does solar? I'm going to say, no, I know a girl.
And I know a girl. I don't know a guy. You know what? The next time I call some of these companies, I may ask them, do you know a girl that does this? And they'll say, what? I'm like, well, I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jamie, we're going to love having you back again. If you'd like to come back, maybe we can dive into some very specific things around solar. But we just wanted to put a good message out there. A woman that's on a mission and doing something different in a marketplace that I came into tonight with preconceived ideas. You have changed my thinking in a big way. Right. So we'll put you in the back room, have some M&Ms, share them with your children, and hold on, and we'll go from there. Okay, thanks, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
You're very welcome.
Wow, that was a delight, Mark.
It truly was. It truly was, Tom, and it just goes back. When I listen and watch Jamie, I know I'm dating myself, but back in the day, she reminds me of my mom, because that was my mom. Because my dad was away a lot because he was in the service, and she was always had a smile on her face. I don't know how my mom did it with 3 kids, but she did it. And I was just like looking at her, and it just dawned on me. That's what my mom did for us, because my dad was in active duty, and she did so much. And that is amazing, what she's doing. It's incredible. And those kids are just going to benefit from both her and Matt, and that to me is a big time winner in my book.
Yeah. Well, Mark, this is number 2, and I'm so excited for the future of them. But I want to bring attention to everybody we're bringing on. That's another business colleague of mine.
Oh, Lord.
Mike Lance, former CPA, and he's going to come in and talk about residual income. He's going to talk about multiple streams of income and how he made that transition from, quote, the corporate business to transitioning into multiple streams of income opportunities. So that's going to be Mike Lance next week. So anything you want to say? You've just met Mike recently, so.
Right. I think you're going to be enlightened when you hear Mike's story. Very intelligent man,
Yeah. So with that all said, anything else, Mark?
I'm going to let you close it out. I enjoyed this evening immensely. I feel like after I'm around Jamie, I need to run around the neighborhood or something. I'm like a kid in a candy store. She's got me all fired up to go do something.
Oh yeah, I won't be able to go sleep for 2. She fired me. She got me full.
Right.
She's energized. She's the energized bunny there. So she's got great energy, and I love that about her. So with that all said, we're going to go sign it out. I'm just go. Here we go. We go with the intro, the outro.